you got some feedback the other day via email from a client who you were interested in artists, but they were not really ready.
Yeah, it's actually feedback that I've heard several times now, where even though the first conversation that I have with these clients and or the potential clients, and when they come to talk, they're coming with a problem. Our people are overwhelmed, they're burned out. I even heard, the way the way we operate is a shit show. I've heard all of these different examples of what they're struggling with, and it's oftentimes it's a people problem. But yet so many organizations, when they think about how they need to innovate, how they need to transform their business, how they need to grow and level up, they focus on the tools and the systems, and they neglect the people. So they constantly say, we want to help our people, we see that our people are struggling, but then in the next conversation it becomes, you know what, but we don't really have the time, the space, or the budget to invest in those people. Look, the news every single day, we read articles about the great resignation or the great recalibration, and how people are struggling, what employees need, what they need assistance with, what they need guidance with. And along with that is not just how they're dealing with stress, but how they're actually showing up to work, how they're showing up to your company, how they're showing up to serve your clients, whether it's within their mindset, within the way that they're communicating with one another, or how they're working as a team. All of those three areas are keys to what are going to help make a company successful. And yet the people always gets put on the back burner in favor of this shiny new piece of tech, or something that an operational consultant told you is the new hot thing that you need to focus on. And you constantly just think you leave your people behind, or you're trying to drag them along, as opposed to investing in what they need in order to be successful, so that you as a company can be successful.
So what are the benefits of investing in your people? What is the benefits of, say, what we do at Painted Porch Strategies is focus on your people. Mm-hmm. We focus on your people because we've all worked in corporations and we all felt dragged and pulled. And you're like, wait a second, this does not really work. And it creates stress, it creates tension, it creates burnout, it creates fatigue, it creates all of those things and that work against you. Well, that's, you have bad culture, attrition. Right? You have, yeah. Yes. So what are the benefits of investing in your people?
Less of all that. That's the benefit.
Imagine having people who show up to work ready to go every day at 9:00, bust their butts till 5, know how to handle stress, know how to handle burnout, have all the tools and techniques that we teach you. So imagine the long-term and short-term monetary savings that lead to increased profits.
And when you have staff that feel like they're valued and like they're truly a part of the success of the team, then they're going to be committed to that. They're going to be, it's like it's their company. Like my husband always says, have you got skin in the game? Like, is there a reason for you to, besides just like not being in trouble with your boss? Is there a reason for you to want to make sure that your company succeeds? And it's been proven that how much it costs to replace an employee. So you have the employee that quits, and then the money and time that it takes to hire and train and onboard a new employee is very expensive, no matter what your industry is. So if we know that that's really expensive, how do we keep the good people that we have, and how do we take them from good to great? And this doesn't happen with an app. This doesn't happen with a snap of a finger. It doesn't happen by saying, oh, you're so appreciated, thank you. It doesn't happen like that. It's a culture, and a culture takes time, and it takes everybody being on the same page, being part of that team of leveling up. It's not something that you can just say, okay, great, we're going to have a great culture now, done.
Right. And it's also not something that is isolated just to a certain level of employee either. So often in many industries, especially in the industry that I come from, which is staffing, a lot of money and time is spent investing in leaders. They get their leadership training, and leaders are critical. Knowing how to be a good leader is critical to the success of an organization. But if all you're doing is spending your time, money, and focus on your leaders, and you're neglecting the people that they are leading as well, if those people don't have the tools and the methods and the practices to help them show up at their best, all the leadership training in the world is not going to correct the ecosystem of the organization. It's only going to make the leaders possibly perform a little bit better or feel or show up better, but they're still going to be struggling with how they can support their teams, how those teams can support one another in order to feel successful.
And we were just on a sailboat recently, and what we noticed about this captain is how great of a communicator he was. So he had a younger staff who, some of them were new to the sailing game, and you got to put the sails up and you got to know all the terminology. But he had obviously, this captain, done a very good job of explaining the terminology. So when he said a certain word, the staff knew what to do, because it was a fairly windy day, which is exactly what you want on a sailboat. But it was almost a little bit too windy. So things could have gone awry had the captain not communicated clearly to his team and gotten the team to engage. And he kept them calm at the same time because he was very calm.
Mm-hmm.
That is what we're talking about here. Who's your captain? How well do they communicate? How mindful of everybody else on the ship? Have they trained them appropriately? That makes a world of difference, because now you're talking about your sailboat. You're talking about which direction you want to go. Sometimes it gets windier, so you have to adjust course. You got to adjust the sail height. You got to take a sail down, put one up, whatever the case may be. But you have to be able to do that on the fly in the middle of the ocean. So that's what we do here at Painted Porch Strategies, is we help you become a captain, but not just your leaders. Like Amy just said, everybody has the ability to be a captain. It's just you have to unlock your tools, find the things that motivate you, that vibe with you. That's why we throw a bunch of tools at your team, so they go, oh, I like this, I'm going to use that to help them become their own captains of their own day.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that captain had clearly taken the time way prior to that day when he had clients on the boat to make sure they understood exactly what they needed to do, how it was going to be communicated. They'd taken the time to run through all that and invested in those staff members, because ultimately one person cannot operate that big of a sailboat by themselves. Your ego is getting in the way if you think that the captain holds all the power. That is not true at all. So he's taken the time to invest in that staff, in their training, in their understanding, in the culture. And so when I hear potential clients or just people say, oh, I don't have the time or money to put towards it. Actually, you don't have the luxury of not, because your business will fail. You will have bad reviews everywhere on the internet. People will not want to go on that sailboat if it's a disaster. You have to invest in it if you want to have a successful business and if you want to be ready for those winds of change.
Yes, well said. The winds of change, because that's you practice, you plan, you prepare ahead of time, so that way when those, because it's not if, it's when those moments show up, you're ready, you're prepared, you have the necessary knowledge, tools, messaging, everything in place, so that way you can successfully navigate through that change, through that unpredictable, that uncertainty, those moments of, oh shoot, what's going to happen next? You already have the tools in place in order to move those forward. I just recently read, to put a finishing touch on this conversation, I recently read that the leaders of tomorrow, the skills that they need are very different than what you used to be able to lean on and what would help make you successful in the past. It's not tech skills, it's not financial spreadsheet skills. No, the top 3 skills that people need in order to lead and succeed in this new world of work that we're navigating in are self-awareness, which is being able to recognize what's going on within yourself, within your mind, within your body, energetically, which is the other term for that is what, Sierra?
Mindfulness.
Mindfulness, yes. So being able to have self-awareness or mindfulness of yourself, as well as the others that you're working with who are on your team or on your crew. The second is the ability to effectively communicate your ideas, to communicate when there's conflict, to be able to share your messaging so that way others understand. They know what sails to put up. They know what sails to put down. They know what ropes to tighten up and which ones to loosen. And they understand what's being asked of them and from them day in and day out. And then the third skill is the ability to work with a diverse variety of people. So being able to navigate different generations, different races, different genders, being able to work with a variety of different
Opinions.
people, different opinions, yes, different skill sets, being able to work with other people successfully. Those are the 3 skills that are critical now. Harvard Business Review just did a full research on this. They're the 3 skills that are necessary in order for you to be successful going forward.
Those are the 3 skills that we focus on Painted Porch Strategies. We focus on the leadership, the communication, and the mindfulness. That's what we do. And the 3 of us have come at this from very different angles and backgrounds, but we can see what will work. And I mean, hello, I think they know what they're talking about.
I'm going to quote the great Tony Robbins. Let's lean in here. When is now a good time for you? Invest in your people.
Yes, invest in your people and give them the tools that they need in order to be successful and to lead your organization forward through the uncertain and often choppy waters of change.
You'll get dividends no matter what the economy looks like, no matter what the circumstances, those winds of change. Isn't that what we want? We want to invest in things that give us dividends. Your people will give you dividends if you invest in them.
No excuses for you to join us here on the Painted Porch.